Hi, I'm Rob Vanstone and welcome to another Time Machine. The home movies that you're about to see and perhaps endure were the impetus for this video series. A few months ago, I found the old 8mm home movies sitting in a box at home, and I was looking through them trying to remember what was on these little rolls of 8mm film. And one of them said 1978 training camp. And I thought, ooh, what's on here? I got the home movie camera for Christmas in 1977. I shot tons of film, and most of it, with all due respect to members of my family, was of our beloved dog, Snowball. I shot Snowball, Snowball, Snowball. 1978, Riders held their training camp at the University of Regina, and I took my trusty home movie camera to training camp, and the settings weren't great and the camera work was shaky, but I got all sorts of images of Ron Lancaster and friends at the University of Regina. So naturally, I had the camera trained on Ron Lancaster, number 23, throughout training camp, or for most of training camp that day in June of 1978. There's Ronnie leading a group of players on a jog, or sort of a jog. They weren't moving very quickly. There's my first image of Ronnie throwing the football, which he did to the tune of 50,535 yards and 333 touchdowns over 19 years in the CFL, including 16 with the Rough Riders. There's Ronnie flipping a screen pass to Molly McGee, number 32. Anyone remember Frank Russell, number 74? There he is catching a pass from Ronnie at training camp in 1978. And there's Ronnie throwing a deep pass toward Joey Walters and toward Luther College. Anybody who knows me knows how much I worship Joey Walters. So of course at 1978 training camp, as much as I had the camera trained on Ron Lancaster, I also made sure that there was a lot of Joey Walters footage as well. And there's Joey making a one-handed catch. Nice catch, part of a drill. Not quite the one-handed catch he made against BC in 1982, but an impressive catch nonetheless. 1976 Grey Cup was the last playoff appearance by the Rough Riders until 1988. The reign of error, as Bob Hughes dubbed it, began in 1977. They missed the playoffs for 11 straight years. In 1978, it was pretty clear that it was going to be Ron Lancaster's last season. If it wasn't his last year, it was going to be one of the last years. He turned 40 in October of 1978. So the Riders needed a succession plan, and they signed a young quarterback out of the University of Maryland named Larry Dick, who arrived with much fanfare. The Riders held a press conference and introduced Larry Dick, and in 1978, Larry Dick participated in his first training camp with the Rough Riders, and there he is throwing a pass to Frank Russell, once again number 74. The other quarterback at training camp that year was Ken Washington. He'd played for North Texas, a team that was known as the Mean Green, so I guess it was appropriate that Ken Washington would spend at least part of his professional football career with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, at least training camp anyway. Ken Washington's brother, Joe Washington, was a star tailback at the University of Oklahoma, spent a long time in the National Football League after that. Ken Washington, comparatively, didn't play pro football very long, but here he is at training camp in 1978 with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The passing drills were always the most interesting, as you can see by the footage. When you go through the 3.5 minutes of this 1978 training camp video, there aren't many plays that aren't passing plays, but there's a few drills, a few interesting things to see. I never really quite figured out what this drill is. I don't know what it's called. It's being run by Walt Pozadowski, who was then an assistant coach with the Rough Riders. Well, the 1978 Rough Riders had a horrible start, and by the end of August, they'd fired their head coach, Jim Eddy, and Walt Pozadowski ended up becoming the Rider head coach for the rest of the 1978 season. This drill is more conventional. I don't know what it's called, but it's jumping over things. Number 27 in the back is Paul Williams, one of my all-time favorite Rough Riders. Paul Williams could do it all. He was a great kick returner, tremendous defensive back, and when needed, could play receiver as well. Paul Williams, number 27. Really nice guy, too. I had a chance to meet him at training camp in 1977. Just a tremendous human being. He did touchdown dances before touchdown dances were cool. He did a dance called the Williams Wiggle, and it was a great fun. I always enjoyed seeing that touchdown dance. Now I'm old and crusty. I don't appreciate touchdown dances as much, but everybody does them. Once upon a time, there was a novelty to them, and Paul Williams pretty much introduced touchdown dances to the Canadian Football League. A year later, 1979, I decided once again to take my video camera to the University of Regina to shoot Rough Rider training camp. Turns out that was the first of 2 training camps for Ron Lancaster as the Rough Riders head coach. The Riders' quarterback, or starting quarterback at training camp that year, was Tom Clements, who spent the first half of the '79 season with the Saskatchewan before being mercifully traded to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So I presume I shot a lot of footage of Ron Lancaster on the sidelines as the head coach. I presume I shot a lot of video or a lot of film of Tom Clements and of course Joey Walters, but you don't really know because, as you can see, I had all the settings wrong, and this is an absolute catastrophe. Awful. And that's, again, on me. I took my camera to training camp once in 1979, and this is what you get. But the strange thing, and I guess in hindsight, one of the blessings is, considering how much I loved my little dog, was that the only thing that turned out on that entire roll of film, that entire 3.5-minute roll of film, on which I was supposedly documenting the Rough Riders 1979 training camp, was a brief clip of Snowball. Thanks again for joining us. Thanks again to Don Beck and Clubhouse 23 for making us feel so welcome and so comfortable. Clubhouse 23, of course, is named after number 23, Ron Lancaster. We hope you enjoyed the footage today. If you enjoy these videos, feel free to subscribe to the Leader Post YouTube channel. There's a little bell insignia. If you'd like to click on that, you'll be notified as future videos, maybe even of Snowball, become available. I've got lots of Snowball. Take care and have a great day.